Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lucky Week 13. Great matchups this weekend. Let's visit with James and find out a little bit about what's going to happen this weekend.
What's going on, world? It's your boy at Big Game James _36, and I'm here with Greg McGarity, and we're bringing to you what we do every week, which is the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl Drive to Selection Show presented by Toyota, where we talk about the ACC, the SEC, college football as it relates to the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl played here January 2nd in prime time in good old Jacksonville, Florida. College football, we cry for it. It takes so long to get here, and it's only here for a snap of a second. And it's coming to an end, but man, there's so much clarity. And for everybody who says things are ruining the sport, I've never been more excited. I actually wasn't a fan of the expansion of the college football playoff. I don't want it to really expand anymore, maybe, but like right now, it's just enough talk. And I'm actually really excited to be sitting around somewhere doing absolutely nothing, watching. I will watch every one of these games, and I like bowl season. So, Greg, how you been doing?
I've been doing great. Week 13. It's amazing, isn't it?
This is just plowing through. Is it officially week 13, or is this technically our 14th week?
It's the 14th week, but the
'Cause we
first
have week
week's
zero.
week 0.
Yeah,
So we have one more weekend after that, and then it's championship week.
Which is, man, it's just so much. It's still so much good football left, and
Yeah.
the way the SEC and the ACC is shaping up. Basically, these next few weeks are playing games for their opportunity to be able to go to the college football playoff. And there's some surprises, and there's some things that we expected, which again gives it more parity. But before we actually go into the games of last week or this week coming up, let's educate people on how we pick a bowl game. So let's talk about the pool of teams and what are the qualifiers in order for you to be able to be in the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl.
Well, in the SEC team, we have to wait and see who plays up into the college football playoff, and then you exclude the teams that are not eligible to play because they don't have 6 wins, and you've got a sweet spot in the middle with about 8 teams right now. And Orlando has the first pick, so they can pick whoever they want, and then we're grouped with 5 other bowls, and at that point in time, it's just mixing and matching. There's no science to it. But the Southeastern Conference, along with its member institutions, will kind of decide where these teams will go, and they'll let us know. They'll provide us a team to match up against the ACC. So it's really there are no rules and regulations in the SEC pool. And the ACC is totally different. Same thing. You figure the teams that are in the college football playoff, they move up. The ones that are left that are still bowl eligible, they're in our mix. But we have a premium pool, which has probably the top 4 teams in the ACC that are left. Those were the most wins, 10 wins, 9 wins, 8 wins. They're in a group. And then there's a process where the ACC has legislation that prevents a team from repeating. So Clemson could not come back here. They're prohibited from coming to the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl this year. All the other teams, where there's SMU, Miami loser, assuming that they'll advance to the championship game. You've got Duke, Pitt, Syracuse that'll probably be in the running. So we'll have much fewer teams to draw from in the ACC, which is very prescriptive, as opposed to the SEC, which is just catch as catch can.
What are some of the teams that we actually do have an opportunity to pick from in the SEC?
Well, I think now, according to the latest college football playoff rankings, Tennessee would be in there. I think you're going to have the Texas A&M Texas loser. Both of those teams, obviously, if whoever advances to the SEC championship is going to be the automatic. But I think the loser of that Texas A&M game will fall into our pool, along with Missouri, LSU, South Carolina, Vandy, Arkansas, and Florida needs to win one more game of their last 2 to become bowl eligible.
So see that Florida went from nobody expecting them to even be bowl eligible. Some argue that they wouldn't win a game. That was me joking. But now being able to come here and play in Jacksonville Florida at the Gator Bowl. The Gators in the Gator Bowl is a potential. So a lot of you guys are Gator fans. That's just a good sign for you to go ahead and buy your tickets. Just go ahead and just so we can get that money flowing in here. On the ACC side, what are some of the teams that are in the pool play for us?
Well, I think you're going to have the loser of the ACC championship game, and let's assume it's SMU and Miami. So the loser drops to the premium pool along with Clemson, which can't come here. And then it's a matter of total wins. Duke's on track, Pitt's on track, Syracuse is on track. I think Louisville, North Carolina will have 8 wins. Is that enough to move them up into the premium pool? We'll have to wait and see. But that's the group that we think will be in play.
All right, and we talked a lot about the college football playoff before we get into this weekend's games. The playoff, the rankings is one thing, which is interesting because I'm looking at Clemson at 17. It'll be funny if because they probably won't play in the championship game, but if enough people lose, they may actually be in a position to bump up, and they're a good enough name to be able to get there. But as it stands, the brackets are Oregon has the 1 seed, and Oregon has a tough draw.
Yeah.
They have the winner of the Notre Dame versus Alabama game. Probably not what I want. I would probably want to lose to get out of the number 1 spot. Texas has the number 2 spot. Indiana, Ole Miss, probably a little bit less stress right there, even though that might change depending upon how Indiana finishes the season. They play Ohio State this weekend. Miami has the number 3 spot. It is official. Miami fans, I am with you. They hate the ACC. They hated Florida State last year. They hate you. And they have Penn State versus Georgia, the winner versus Penn State versus Georgia. And Boise State. Now, why is Boise State why do they get a bye? I thought it was the G5 team just gets in. How does that work?
Well, you take all your champion of your 5 conferences, and like you mentioned, the Big Ten, the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12, and then the group of 5 conferences, which is the AAC, the Conference USA, the MAC, Mountain West, and the Sun Belt. Whoever wins those championship games, if they are ranked higher than one of the group of 4 champions, then they get the bye. So it's the top 4 ranked champions that move into the bye positions.
And not only do they get a bye position as it stands now, they get the winner of Ohio State versus BYU, which is probably the easiest of all of the draws there. But that's very interesting. Again, that's something that you guys can go tell your friends so that you're the smartest person in the room. I had no idea that was it. I was wondering why Boise State was doing that, and that would put them. And again, how they pick where they play is by region, correct?
Well, if you get to the quarterfinal round, then it aligns with bowl associations that they have. So if you took it right now, Oregon as a 1 seed would play their game in the Rose Bowl. Texas as the number 2 seed would play in the Sugar Bowl. Miami as a 3 seed. The Orange Bowl is hosting one of the semifinal games, so they couldn't go to the Orange Bowl. They'll have to fill into one of the other games, and Boise State would have to fill in too. So you had the Fiesta and Dallas playing host sites to those because the Dallas and Miami are the semifinal games. So you've got the Peach Bowl that take one of those teams and the Fiesta Bowl taking the other team. So there's a lot to still play out, but certainly Ohio State has the easiest path right now to the semifinals than even Oregon as the number 1 seed.
So Miami would have to win to be able to basically host the home college football playoff game because they'll play in the Orange Bowl as one of the semis, right?
Semifinals. So they would have to get to the semifinals.
Yeah, get to the semi. Yeah. So what's funny is if Georgia beats Penn State, they'll basically be hosting Georgia in Georgia to be able for the opportunity to play a home game the next week if they win. That's interesting the way that because I was wondering if Boise State would go to the Fiesta Bowl.
Boise State, and it may get proximity or the Peach Bowl. So let's just say Miami would play the winner of Penn State and Georgia in Atlanta.
Yeah. That's what I was saying, that they would play
really be
Georgia's home
field. So a lot of dynamics in play, but again, the assignments of those quarterfinal games align with their bowl tie-ins, if at all applicable.
Well, let's get into this week's slate of games. A lot of stuff that affects us. We'll go into the SEC first. A lot of rumors about Lane Kiffin going to be potentially the next head coach of this school while this guy was coaching, but now he's coaching for his job and another guy's coaching to show. Mississippi Ole Miss plays UF. Ole Miss is still they got a long shot to play the SEC championship.
Mm-hmm.
Florida's trying to become bowl eligible. Right. Again, put themselves in the premium pool. Talk about that game quick.
Well, it's huge for both teams because if Ole Miss loses that game, then they're out of the playoff. So they would then move into our pool. Florida's trying to become bowl eligible, so with Ole Miss and FSU to play, their sense of urgency is just huge right now.
And you got Kentucky is having a down year versus Texas. Texas has to continue to just keep winning.
Right.
Mark Stoops is good with defense. Any of these other games on the SEC side kind of stand out? Because it looks like next weekend will probably be a bigger weekend for the SEC as well.
I think so. A&M's got kind of a trap game at Auburn at night. Vandy goes to LSU. Let's see how LSU responds after losing 3 games in a row. So
Vandy's a tough team.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. Some SEC teams have non-conference opponents. Georgia playing UMass, South Carolina playing Wofford. So you've got some of that really won't affect things because both those teams will win pretty handily, I would think.
Going on to the ACC side, it's kind of right now it's a 3-team race, because the next group guys have 3, so there's only 3 teams that could be in this. Everybody else is still trying to play for where they're going to go. SMU plays Virginia. They need to continue to win out so that they're able to get into be able to play in the ACC championship. Any of these other games stand out on the ACC side?
Yeah, I think that SMU, they're at Virginia. Virginia's dangerous, but SMU should win that game. But I think more so than any other conference, the ACC is upside down as far as predictions. I mean, who would have thought Louisville would lose to Stanford in a very odd way? But it really hurt Louisville's chances to move up the ladder, so to speak, at Stanford. Pitt at Louisville is another game. How is Louisville going to respond? Pitt's still fighting things. Duke's hosting Virginia Tech. NC State plays at Georgia Tech. So you've got a lot of dynamics there. Wake Forest has to travel to Miami, but who knows in the ACC? You see some things that are really startling that, it's really unpredictable.
Cam Ward's got to have a big game because he's still in the Heisman race, kind of got a little derailed by losing to Georgia Tech. The funny thing in this is I brought up, Clemson is just sitting here just waiting.
Oh, yeah.
Just waiting for somebody to lose or waiting for – if they win out, I really think the way things are going to fall, they're going to get bumped up a little bit. And Clemson may be one of those teams that gets a chance to not host, but travel to somebody in the college football playoff. But the beauty in all of this is we still have football.
That's right.
We've got the holidays. So make sure you're walking and moving. Don't gain a lot of weight just watching football and eating this heavy food. And it's wrapping up to where it's going to peak to where you guys are going to want to purchase tickets for January 2nd, the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl played here in Jacksonville, Florida, because what's basically Greg just promised us is that we're going to have 2 really, really good teams. Right. A really good team from the ACC and a really good team from the SEC. You're going to want to be able to watch all of these different things that are happening, and we're going to continue to bring it to you each and every week with the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl Drive the Selection Show presented by Toyota. We will see you guys next week.
Welcome back for this week's Off the Field segment. As you just heard, a lot is happening on the field in college football. Things are a little messy, but we're excited to see how all of it pans out. As far as Gator Bowl charities goes and membership, we've still got a lot going on. We decide our scholarship winners this evening, so we're really excited to see which 4 local students are going to represent us and receive $2,500 through the Gator Bowl Charities Award of Excellence presented by Momentum Transportation. I've heard from some of the selection committee that this group of kids is incredible, so excited to see that. In addition, last week, Katie and I ventured to Nassau County, all over Nassau County, really, and got to go to a few different schools just to thank teachers. Once again, I think we say it quite a bit. Teachers don't get thanked enough. So if you are a teacher, thank you from us to you. If you know a teacher, if your kids have teachers, be sure to just say thank you, aside from just Teachers Appreciation Week. This is the month of being thankful and giving thanks. So be sure to do that. Had a great time at those 3 schools. We were up in Fernandina for a while, and then we also headed over to Briceville, which was a new area of Nassau County that Katie and I had never been to. So
They had chickens there. There were chickens.
they did have
in their
chickens.
elementary school.
They
It was
did.
great. I think just concluding, we're at this place in the year where all of our charity programs meet the on the field piece, and so it's a really probably one of our favorite times of the year when we get to prepare for all of the kids and families and teachers that we get to impact through the year, get to see the fruit of our labor, which is the game that will be, as you know, on January 2nd. One of the key components to that is our partnership with First Coast Blessings in a Backpack. Every year, our football teams pack bags of non-perishable food and handwrite notes from the football players to local elementary. We're expanding that program this year in the month of November in the context of giving thanks to a member packing event. You all have done such an incredible job at raising money. We're almost to our grant match goal thanks to United Community Bank for their grant. That's coming to a close. So that program will end the fundraising component on November 30th. So we have just the rest of this week and Thanksgiving week. I mean, just talk about it at the Thanksgiving table. It feels like as we're being gluttonous at the Thanksgiving table, it's a great opportunity to talk about making a donation for people who do not have that opportunity to have gluttony. The links are below for you to make a donation. As a reminder, it's $5 to provide food for a child on the weekend. $150 feeds a kid for the entire school year. We will pack that first week of December. So if you have made or gotten donations of $25 or more, we will invite you to the stadium with the Blessings team to pack bags and handwrite note cards to kids. These bags will go home with these students during Christmas break. So this is a really, really important time for them to get this food when it is much needed. They'll get a commemorative 80th game TaxSlayer Gator Bowl bag. So just please lean in and support us as we come, try to land our plane, if you will, for charities. And I think as we get into next week, traditionally we like to share some insight from our families to yours for Thanksgiving. And then there's one more week where we'll share with you where all of charities programs meet team selection. And then we'll see you on January 2nd. Have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you one more time before Thanksgiving.